guys. Hello. I've been gone for a bit, but it's okay because I'm back. And guess what? I wrote my first article ever that I published on Substack. You guys can give it a read. It'll be down below in the description, along with my socials, and you can also subscribe while you're at it. But hello. Welcome to Nancy's World. Today I'm here to talk about fashion. Specifically, how Black women are revolutionizing fashion. Specifically, indie sleaze. It was a usual Sunday afternoon, and I was scrolling my life away somewhat mindlessly on TikTok, as usual, until I came across a TikTok which highlighted something that I'd been feeling for years, specifically since 2021. It was a TikTok by user It's Naya a word with double H, who proclaimed something that I had been thinking and feeling for quite some time now, which is that the Tumblr era of fashion has resurfaced, and Black women are the most prominent reason for this fashion resurgence. In this case, she goes on to highlight the importance of Black women pioneering the style of indie sleaze. For us to be on the same page, I'm going to need to re-jog your memory on the history of indie sleaze and how it came to be in the first place. In a Vogue article titled, "Can We Really Have an Indie Sleaze Revival?" which was written in March of this year, in which Vogue fashion writers Christina Aguilera and Hannah Jackson debated on the revival of the style. They call indie sleaze the grungy, messy, and kind of sexy style from the late 2000s to the early 2010s. Now, as I was reading this article, I was surprised to hear that the likes of Addison Rae and Olivia Rodrigo were mentioned as the new pioneers of indie sleaze, which is good for them for having the style and the influence to be included in the fashion conversation. But I would have to strongly disagree. Why? Because I know for a fact it has a lot more to do with TikTok's influence than anything else. We all know how much Black people in general have influenced the entire platform for it to reach the stage that it's in. From The Renegade to Lil Nas X and Doja Cat, we all know the true influence Black culture has on the general populace as well. But most importantly, the youth, even with the lack of credit. This is especially true when it comes to fashion. When you hear trends come and go in the conversation, it's more than often a mention of prominent articles of fashion and even media that was popularized in Black neighborhoods, from girls to Sade girls, bangles, Kendrick Lamar girls, bracelets and rings, acrylic nails, over-the-top exaggerated and over-accessorized outfits. When indie kids were discovering that you can layer necklaces and wear multiple bracelets at once, Black and brown children like I, who had grown up being bullied or labeled weird and different for dressing that way, observed as our fashion was appropriated with a lack of recognition. My style, which had been in the making for generations before me, things now known as the earthy Black girl aesthetic, were being labeled fairy core, earthy core, so much so that once again, Black women had to reclaim and rename a fashion that they had known for years. This continuous vicious cycle of Black people, but most especially Black women, cultivating a style, that style then influencing the general populace, from influencing to appropriation, and then furthermore, a lack of credit, leading Black and brown people feeling invalidated for their reactions on the appropriation of their own style and culture. But what do indie sleaze and Black fashion have in common? Well, I've already mentioned a few of my observations, but it's clear one of the main common factors between indie sleaze and Black fashion is the use of accessories, and an emphasis on shoes and bags, using prominent fashion accessories as everyday items. The way in which I observed Black women pioneering the style is how they so effortlessly put together pieces that seem like they wouldn't work in today's micro-trend crazed fashion. In a world full of clean girls, I can always rely on the likes of T Archives on Instagram to bless my feed with an outfit full of personality. Other notable pioneers in recent years are user Girl Named Peach on Instagram and even artist Baby X Salsa, all of which are women of color. I'll even use LLGEN Sish on Instagram, and these are only the ones that I remember off the top of my head, the ones that I really follow on TikTok. I will admit though, I am young and too young to have been able to participate in indie sleaze when I first started out. However, I know a thing or two about media resurgence, especially on TikTok. I have been on TikTok since Musically. I grew up on Tumblr and on fashion forums, dabbling in and out of fashion trends, from art ho to e-girl to cybergoth. So I know a thing or two when it comes to the exclusion of Black women in these spaces. I know a thing or two about the lack of credit given to Black women, and even more so, I know about the appropriation of Black women's entire personal images. And honestly, it's nothing new. I mean, with the rise of micro-Black influencers and Black underground scene, the youth is getting more involved than ever in discovering new styles, and at the forefront of this should be the faces of Black women, and not multi-million-dollar funded social media personalities. I would just really like it if I saw everyday Black people who actually have a love for what they wear and stick to their personal style. Not to appease the masses, but more so because Black people understand the importance of personal image more than most, especially Black, British, and African American women. I mean, we had to cultivate our own culture in a world that wasn't built for us. There are virtually no spaces for us online, though. Outside of TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest, we are nearly ever featured in fashion articles, barely even given our flowers for the hard work we put towards creating personal styles. I mean, it took the general public 20 years to recognize the magnitude of the influence of Erykah Badu and Khaleesi's style really had on young Black girls everywhere, let alone in the fashion world. Black fashion culture is similar to indie sleaze in the way that it's being marketed. Like a lost art which cannot be replicated if you are not around to participate in that time frame. While Black fashion is synonymous with being closed off to people who have Black heritage. Putting on traditional jewelry, pairing it with skinny jeans and Rick Owens, I consider that indie sleaze, or maybe something even better. I love how Black women always add life to fashion movements. Their authenticity and love for self-expression flows into every piece they wear. The lack of curation adds a touch of legitimacy and should completely solidify them in the fashion conversation. There is no reason why we need to hear the same names over and over again when there are thousands of Black and brown girls online waiting for their recognition. Brown girls. So, thank you so much for watching, and feel free to discuss this topic in the comments. Have you noticed the similarities between indie sleaze and just overall the way in which Black people have been pioneering fashion for decades? Do publications need to give Black women their flowers? Let me know, because I know I love to read all your comments. Also, let me know what you think about my Substack. If you enjoy it, I can upload more stuff, and yeah, see you next time on Nancy's World. Like, subscribe, follow my socials. Bye!